Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for today's Regal Live Series. Regal Live Series is a weekly live series that aims to enable coaches to build a prosperous coaching business by becoming the best coaches that they can be. Regal Unlimited is a leadership development company that has over a decade of excellence in disrupting leadership development through coaching and coach training. In today's edition, the 11th edition of the Regal Live Series, I'm grateful to have Latha Bhonsle with us. Latha is the founder of MindsEye, a highly experienced corporate and entrepreneurial leader with over 28 years of experience, who will share her thoughts on the importance of continuing to hone our coaching skills even after we are certified and credentialed. She has multiple accolades to her name, which I will take. I request all of you to kindly check the post because that will eat into some of the time, given how well the professional caliber that Lata has. In our previous edition, we discussed the importance of upskilling. We build on that today. So if you're a coach or looking to become a coach or are just curious, this series is for you. Over to you, Lata.
Thank you so much, Anirudh. And I like the way you gave in the intro to ask people to look at what is there as shared. So yes, if you look at the trajectory of my career, I think upskilling has been something that I have truly believed in before or after my coaching certification, so to say. Whether it was NLP, whether it was hypnotherapy earlier, whether it was firewalking or the various assessments that I did, some before, some after. I think all of those have been able to add so much value to me as a person, as a coach. And I think when we're talking about continuing to hone our coaching skills even after certification or credentialing, I think there is a lot of value that we bring to the client as coaches. To begin with, when I got my ACC certification, there were a certain set of tools that I had learned. But I think it is only with going forward as a PCC coach or an MCC coach that I went deeper and deeper into looking at how I can make a difference in their lives. So much more deeper and so much more enhancing. And it's not just their lives, it's also about my own life. Because the more I'm adding value to a client, the more I'm adding value to my own self also. So I think that's a very important aspect of who we are being. Um, I also believe that it's important to upskill in any of the areas. But as a coach, when I'm looking at the movement or the trajectory that we are looking at, it just becomes so much more a deeper process and a meaningful process, at least for myself, for who I am being in terms of the client, in terms of myself, in terms of the environment, everything put together. So I see a lot of value, definitely, apart from looking at the commercial aspects of how we go into the market also. Of course, that also makes a difference. uh, the more we upskill, the better we become, and people are able to see. Um, of course, there have been a lot of stalwarts I have met who are part of the industry, mainly because I have been upskilling myself. The different forums that I go to, um, the way I have just gone about interacting with different people when I have gone to different courses. Um, that itself has brought in a whole lot of difference with um, who I have met and how we have been able to leverage on each other's skills, for that matter. Whether even Subhash I met at one of these forums itself, or somebody like Anand David or Gaurav Arora, doesn't matter. And my mentor, when I did my MCC, this he always uses even now to quote he is John Saraf, and I've always called him a tormentor But I think I think it has made so much of a difference to me when I went through my MCC process. The kind of depth that I saw one can go to from the days of my PCC to the MCC space. I saw a whole lot of difference, and that's where I really saw that I could add so much more value to clients or to whoever I am with, even for that matter to my own daughter when I'm interacting with her. I think that made a whole lot of difference. So this is what I see as a huge difference in why it's important to hone our coaching skills even after the credentialing process. It's a continuous process. In fact, um, even when I attended, just stop me whenever you want me to, okay? Otherwise, I can go
Oh,
on
please go
talking.
ahead. And
Even when I attended coaching intensive, I think the kind of mind that came in during that first program that I attended, it was such a pleasure to just be there, just immerse myself, share thoughts, listen to what people have to say, what their thoughts are, where they come from, where I come from, what are my own patterns and processes, just to revalidate or revisit those spaces made so much of a difference to move deeper into the competencies, to start being those competencies. I still remember that the one big takeaway for me was also to look at the niche for me. The purpose I always knew was, to work with women even earlier, but to deepen that, to look at working with women leaders in the coaching space came out of that intensive program that I attended. So it's all about upskilling, deepening, being willing to learn, willing to grow, and being able to add more value to ourselves as well as the others. I think that's how I would look at it.
so, Latha, thank you for the opening comments. I would like to bring up one point that you mentioned, that the more you contribute in a client's life, the more you contribute towards your own life. So,
Mhm.
what do you mean by that?
So it is so satisfying to see that I am being a part of somebody's success, somebody's journey, so to say. There are a lot of struggles also people go through, and constantly we become part of that struggle too. And then to see that transformation happen, it is so beautiful. I think that's what's my key takeaway for myself. So when I'm saying adding value to the clients, it's also adding value to me to see what can happen, what are the possibilities, how else can we start looking at different things. So while they are learning things, it's a constant learning for me too. I think that is how I look at it. So it's a constant development process from both spaces. Different clients maybe, but for me it is constantly there. It's a continuous learning process.
So, Latha, you brought in the commercial angle too. You said that as you upskill, it also benefits, if I understood correctly, you have
Mhm.
the ability to command a higher price.
Mhm.
So, I have a question related to this. Did you face a situation where, after you got your credential initially, you were did you wonder whether you should continue to upskill or should you recover the amount that you've invested in the credential?
Mm, for me personally, everything that I have done, it's more from the aspect of from the viewpoint of a learning that I have gone into. So from that point of view, there has never been a time when I wanted to recover what I have mm, put in as an investment. However, I think it organically happened that because I was involved and continuously moving towards upskilling, continuously looking at how else I can add value. Uh, I just organically started moving towards getting more revenue from the markets, getting more value from people around. People perceive so much more value and they're willing to pay. So I think that is something that I have noticed. When clients are able to see that they are getting value from what we deliver, then they don't mind really giving whatever it takes to get something for themselves, because at the end of the day it is a transformative process, and people who believe in that go a long way to do what it takes. I think I would do that, so I think I have seen that in my environment also.
If I may ask you, what advice would you have for the, because it is true that few of them, quite a few of the initially credentialed coaches have made a career pivot, right,
Mhm.
towards becoming full-time coaches. What advice would you be able to give them to calm the mind? That f- just like how you look at it as learning, and then the return
Mhm.
comes on its own.
Mhm.
What advice would you give them to calm their mind down and just focus on upskilling?
I can talk about what has helped me. So calm the mind is more from the space of centering to me. So it is just those, whether it is those three deep breaths or head to toe uh, mindfulness exercise, and just talking to ourselves and having the conviction in the process, in the methodology, to have that belief in oneself. And I think constantly looking at how I can become a better coach, a better person. The more we focus on that, then I think everything falls in place. So rather than saying, how am I going to get this client? It's about how can I add value to whoever is along with me. I think that was a big learning for me. Like I was mentioning about my daughter, I think throughout that has been something for me which has been so relevant in that sense. She would just come to me, and there were times when she'd look at me and say, Mama, you're not listening to me. I'll come back. So that's a cue for myself, right? So how can I become a better coach? That was that was like one hammer coming on my head. So I think that made me more mindful about how I'm listening to somebody. How do I give that 100% of myself to being present, to listen completely, to put the judgments behind, and just believe in the process that things will unfold. Just being comfortable with the unknown is something that is very important in the process of coaching, because we don't know what is going to come up next. So I think it's the same thing with life also to me. While we do plan a lot of things, how do I still believe in the process of saying that things will unfold for me because I'm ready for it? That would
So I
be.
think it is easier to, sorry for interrupting. Uh,
No, no,
I
please.
think it would be easier to adopt in this case for our listeners and viewers to adopt a learner's mindset over an abundance mindset. Because an abundance mindset, there's an inherent contradiction, I would say. When you are in a stressful period, it's a great place to be in. But in that moment, when you are surrounded by lack, whether it's lack of peace or anything, it's very difficult to have an abundance mindset then. But if you adopt learner's mindset, eventually you'll get to the abundance mindset.
So I don't think it's contradictory in that sense. It's more about uh, focusing on the learner's mindset, which you're rightly putting it across as, which would lead to an abundance space. The moment I have seen that work with me too, the moment I'm focusing on the lack, then I am stressing out unnecessarily, whether it is because I have to pay the bills, or whether it is because I have to see my calendar full for the 22 days. Whatever it is, the moment I'm focusing on the lack, then I'm missing out on the rest of it. The moment I'm looking at how do I uh, make the best of whatever time I have on my mind, on my hands, um, what is the value that I'm going to add to the client that I'm going to be talking with today? Then I'm in the now, and I am in believing in the process and looking at how I can add more value, and the rest will follow, is what I have noticed. So yes, abundance. definitely follows when there is no lack, the focus on lack. Yeah. So
Yeah,
thank you for that.
even I also believe that abundance is the place to be in, and learner's mindset can be the way to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lata, another thing that stands out for me is you even look at your combining learner's mindset with a service mindset, service orientation, that you're here to serve the client. So we have
Mhm.
heard a lot, whether it's Eastern wisdom or Western philosophy, that jitna aap dete ho, how much ever you give, you get back much more.
Mm.
So does the learner's mindset even help in that to develop a service mentality, or um, did you pick that up somewhere along the way, or how did it play out? The service mindset plus the learner mindset.
Yeah. So when I was doing the firewalk certification, this was in South Africa. Um, I just saw how we're able to break the walls that we've created for ourselves, and that's something that I have learned to use even in the space of coaching. Right? That's what we are doing. How do we break the walls that we've created to go and achieve what we want to achieve? Um, so there, one of the exercises was, which was really very beautiful, and they don't tell us what it is, but then towards the end of the day, we're walking in, and then look, we just there's one person sitting on the chair, and then there's one person, and we're all participants. One person sits down at the feet of the person sitting on the chair, and then we're washing the feet of the person, um, and then really doing it in a beautiful ritualistic manner, and then we swap places. So I think that is where the deepening of service mentality came to me in place, and it's nothing to do with I am one over you or I'm one below you. So it's about how that service mentality brings so much joy. You were talking about when we were talking earlier, you were talking about pursuit gives us joy. So what is that pursuit I am in? uh, so that's something that was very beautiful and has remained in my mind over a period of time. mm, I think it started there, and then I've seen a whole lot of people just being in that space of service, whether it has been friends of mine, the heads of the organizations, uh, people I have worked with, the coaches, my mentors, all of them have a huge service mentality. So that is what makes them stand out, because egos really don't play out in the mm, in favor of everybody at all. So the moment there is service that is involved, then everything else takes a backseat, and then we move forward into that learner's uh, space to create that abundance for ourselves.
So Lata,
All
even
right.
upskilling helped you even develop a service mindset, and you brought out a very brilliant point. It's something that even we believe in. The moment you say, "I am the one that's doing the service," you have defeated the purpose of service. So,
Yeah.
so I used stand out as a very spiritual person for me. Mr. Subhash and I were having this conversation yesterday, and he said coaching is a sadhana, a spiritual practice. And
Beautiful.
at MCC, he believes that the competency should come into the personal life as well. And I see that you embody that in whatever, this 20 minutes you have seen, it stands out. Service mindset, learning mindset. You mentioned the Coaching Unlimited and how the first edition that you were part of, and how niche was a very it was a profound takeaway for you. You had a fair idea that you wanted to serve women leaders, but specifically what within that. So question related to niche would be, we have quite a few coaches who feel
Mhm.
they should have a niche, and on the other hand we have few coaches who believe that they do not want to be tied down to a niche. So this is a question I've asked John also in a previous edition. So
Mhm.
I, because he's your tormentor, I want to pose the same question to you. What do you have to say about niche as a coach? How important is it?
So I think when I started off, it really did not matter to me. Uh, Also, it is my own thing, right? Because I thought, why should I miss out on anyone else? If I have a niche, I will only be focusing on that particular niche and might not be able to coach anyone else. So in the beginning, of course, I have gone ahead and coached anyone and everyone. However, because I have a niche, it does not mean that I have not been coaching anyone else. So, women leaders coach is what I call myself. Doesn't mean that I do not coach CEOs or the C-suite cadre or business leaders or entrepreneurs. I do coach everyone else too. Many people are my clients, but what I would like to move towards more because of the passion that I have to make a difference in that space. It ties into the purpose that I have always moved towards to look at how I can make a difference in the space of women's development. So carrying that forward to look at coaching women leaders and how we can break those walls and to be able to see a sufficient number at the top rather than what it is today. Um, I think that is a huge satisfaction for myself. And how important is it for everyone? I think as we dabble with coaching one and all, the more we look at where is it that our passion moves towards, which what is driving us. I think that niche gets created slowly, and the more we focus on it, the more value we bring to ourselves as well as everyone else in the space. Doesn't mean it stops us from coaching anyone else, but that niche will just help us surge forward. That's how I've seen it.
And Lata, that's aligned with exactly what John and PK also say. Coach everybody, just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
So I
are
have been mentored well.
so Lata, we are at the close of our. I just didn't realize the time just flew by.
Oh, yes. That's really cool.
Any closing remarks? Thank you for joining. Any closing remarks?
I think a huge thank you to you and the team. And I think it's a continuous learning process, whichever area we are in. Upskilling is something that will always add value. Certification before or after even more because it adds so much more meaning to our lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lata. And dear viewers and listeners, depending on which platform you're seeing us on or hearing us, if you're interested in knowing more about Coaching Unlimited that Lata mentioned, I'll put the description in the chat after the live. Lata, thank you so much for taking the time out on a weekday from 9 to 9:20 p.m. and making such a lively session. We hope to have you soon again. Thank you for being here today. And dear viewers, we'll see you next Thursday, 9 p.m. IST. Thank you.
Thanks, Anirudh. Thank you so much.